And today is Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. As a reminder, this is a public meeting and is being recorded. For those of you calling in, please ensure you have muted your phone line. Thank you. First, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Commissioner Boyce.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, we always start out with recognition, so I am pleased to recognize this week for several important efforts that are especially close to my heart. The first is that October is Head Start Awareness Month. Across the country, Head Start provides Head Start provides comprehensive early education services to millions of young children from low-income families aged 3 to 5. This includes support for their social, emotional, psychological, nutritional, and health needs so that they are prepared for success in the classroom when they begin kindergarten. The program began in 1965, and nearly 3,000 kiddos benefit from it each year at more than 60 provider locations in Franklin County. There's even an early Head Start program for pregnant people and infants. As many of you know, issues of maternal health and childhood development are important to me. It's the space where my professional journey began, and I could tell you that Head Start is a fantastic program. Evidence shows that Head Start students show significantly better social and emotional, language, and cognitive development and are more ready for kindergarten than others. They also display stronger social skills, impulse control, and have healthier body mass index scores. Even as adults, people who participated in Head Start when they were young are more likely to graduate from high school and go on to college. So there's no doubt that Head Start is a wonderful investment in our residents and their future, and I'm proud to support it here in our community. You can learn more about Head Start in Franklin County at CDCH, that's cdchheadstart.org. Let me do that again, cdcheadstart.org.
Madam President, if I could make a comment too.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I didn't go to Head Start, but I do know that it's programs like Head Starts that truly do make a head start for our young people when they're coming from communities or house environments that have other challenges in the cognitive and learning process. Head Start can be a catalyst to their real trajectory of their future. And so I'm really glad that we're recognizing this. And I just know too many families, too many children that have that Head Start was definitely a catalyst to a number of things for their families. So I'm glad we have the opportunity to recognize October as Head Start Awareness Month. Thank you for that recognition.
Absolutely. And I also want people to know about Head Start that it's not just about the education that our kiddos get in early Head Start and Head Start programs, but it really does wrap around the family and provide resources to the family. So when I worked in Head Start in an early Head Start program, I started out as a partnership coordinator, and my responsibility was to bring families into the program and kiddos, but also connecting families with resources. So I do want to just highlight that component is very much needed in this community. October is tackling Hunger Month as well, and you may recall that September was Hunger Action Month. Unfortunately, this is still an issue in America in 2022. But the fact is that 1 in 6 Americans, including 9 million children, do not know where their next meal will come from. In recent years, this Board of Commissioners have provided more than $14 million of support to the Mid-Ohio Food Collective, including $2 million for emergency food purchases just last month. A request has also been made of the state for American Rescue Plan funding to help combat hunger across Ohio, which last week, I believe, at the controlling board, the request was $50 million, and the controlling board only released $15 million. So your advocacy, when I had the call to action last month, is duly noted, but we got more work to do. I also urge anyone who is watching this morning to reach out to your state representative and state senator, again, to tell them that this is an issue that is important to you and ask them to put some of the federal ARPA funding to use for hungry Ohioans. In the meantime, to find out how your own family can get nutritional support, visit MOFC.org. That's the Mid-Ohio Food Collective. So it's MOFC.org. And then, as I said last Tuesday, that we will be recognizing and having more information about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the Breast Cancer Foundation theme for this year is Together We Rise, stressing that cancer is a community issue and not something that anyone should have to face alone. About 1 in 8 U.S. women will develop breast cancer at some time in their lives, and more than 43,000 Americans die from it each year. Breast cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer in the world, and 85% of those cancers occur in people with no family history of it. Black women under 45 are more likely to be diagnosed than their white counterparts, and overall, Black women are more likely to die of breast cancer than women of other races. Fortunately, breast cancer rates have been decreasing, and it can be a very treatable cancer when diagnosed early. So I urge everyone to get their routine cancer screenings and mammograms. I know that the Columbus Cancer Clinic provides free and low-cost screenings, and you can reach them online or at 614-263-5006. If I can get approval of the minutes for the September 27th and October 4th, 2022 general sessions, the October 6th, 2022 briefing session, and the June 29th, 2022 administrative briefing session.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved.
Thank you so much. First on the agenda, we have the Board of Commissioners Resolution number 0749-22, which is recognizing National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Before the clerk reads the next resolution, we want to recognize that October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Unfortunately, an average of 20 people are physically abused by intimate partners every minute. This equates to more than 10 million abuse victims annually. Here in Franklin County, residents pay a small fee when they get married, divorced, or have their marriage annulled, and we are pleased to provide the funds raised from those fees to Choices for Victims of Domestic Violence, which is one of the oldest and largest domestic violence shelters here in Ohio. With us today to help raise awareness of the growing plight of domestic violence in our community is Dr. Maria Houston, Executive Director of Lutheran Social Services and Choices. Welcome and thank you for joining us this morning, Dr. Houston. If you have any brief remarks, please approach the podium.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, President Crawley, and the Board of Commissioners for this opportunity just to speak a few words. I'd like to just say that Choices is the only domestic violence shelter here in Franklin County, and we operate a 24-hour crisis hotline. We have seen upwards of 850 people annually at the shelter, with half of those individuals being children. Currently, we are seeing 1 of 3 women coming to the shelter or receiving domestic violence shelter or services, and then 1 in 4 men. I'd just like for people to be aware that domestic violence, intimate partner violence, does not discriminate. It can really impact anyone from any race, any educational level, any social economic level, gender. So we certainly may know someone that has experienced it. And so the one thing I like to tell people is to make sure that you believe that survivor and let them know that there is hope. And so we at Choices, we are very proud and privileged to be able to do this work in order to instill that hope back into those survivors. So thank you again for the opportunity to share some words.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. And Dr. Houston, it's such a pleasure to meet you. I look forward to working with you. I think a lot of people here have heard my own story about domestic violence, but I want to share with you because this is an area that's very sensitive to me, and I'm really glad you brought up that there's no discrimination in it. My father was murdered when I was 7, and it was a domestic violence situation. He went to the assistance of another relative, a cousin of his, a female cousin, and the person killed them both. And so the victim, while it was my aunt and my Jackie and my dad, there were, when he was killed, when they were killed, there were kids right around them, my cousins. And then there are the kids like me who are the children of those victims. And it never goes away. It's in your life forever, and it's ingrained. in your life and how you do things forever. And so this conversation around domestic violence and who it impacts and how it reverberates through our system, through our community is crucial. And the work that you all do in Choices is absolutely critical to stabilizing what are already volatile crises that families are facing. And so in all my life in politics, I've been in politics for 26 years, there's no entity that supports your work more than Franklin County. And we will, I know I speak on behalf of my colleagues here because they're passionate about this. This is one of those funding things where it's not even an issue. There's no even discussion about it because we know the value and importance of the work are also embedded in our allocation for what you do. That's why I said, tell us what you need. Tell us, what you need from us, because we are fighting poverty, we're fighting racism, and embedded in that are domestic violence issues that tend to promote those issues, poverty, racism. And so I just wanted you to know, welcome aboard to the family, and we're here to support the work in every way that we can. So.
Thank you so much.
We do have a ceremonial resolution for you if you would like to come up and take a picture. But first, I want to say, because I know Director Pride is here, to Commissioner Boyce's point about our support, I want to say that like $1 million came through JPP. Is that correct? Not too long ago, several months ago, for your services, and I believe it was for the new shelter. Was it not? Was it for the expansion of the shelter that I've had the opportunity to come out and tour? So. Thank you so much for the work that you all do. You do God's work. But as Commissioner Boyce said, there's no question about the support for the work that you do. So. And the purple ribbons that you'll see people wearing is in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So I hope I see you all around the building wearing your purple ribbons. Again, thank you, Dr. Houston. First up, we have the Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 74922, resolution authorizing Choices for Victims of Domestic Violence Incorporated to receive the fees collected in 2023 for the support of shelters for victims of domestic violence.
Commissioner, Zach Telerik with the Office of Management and Budget. Commissioner, as you mentioned earlier, this is the allocation of the $17 fee for each marriage license and $32 fee for each divorce, dissolution, and annulment to be allocated to Choices for calendar year 2023. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 749-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 74922 has been adopted.
Thank you. Next up, we have Engineer.
Resolution number 74022, resolution authorizing a one-year contract with Epic Cleaning LLC, doing business as Stratus Building Solutions of Columbus, to assist with cleaning at the Franklin County Engineers facilities in the amount of $19,620.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. My name is Nick Soulis, Government Affairs Liaison for Franklin County Engineer Cornell Robertson. Our first resolution authorizes a one-year contract with Epic Cleaning, doing business as Stratus Building Solutions, to assist with the cleaning of our offices, both here at 970 Dublin Road, as well as our east and west maintenance facilities. Quotes were solicited and reviewed by the engineer's office, and Stratus was determined to be the lowest and best vendor, and they are a local company. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 740-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 74022 has been adopted. Resolution number 74122. Resolution approving street, storm sewer, and water improvement plans for the villages at Galloway, Phase 1, 2, and 3, Prairie Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, this resolution seeks approval of the street, storm, sewer, and water improvement plans for the villages at Galloway. This development is located in southwest Franklin County and Prairie Township. Approval of this resolution will allow the developer to begin installing the necessary infrastructure for the development of this subdivision. And pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 741-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 74122 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Nick. Have a great day. Next, we have Public Defender.
Resolution number 74222. Resolution authorizing a one-year contract between the City of Columbus, the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, and the Franklin County Public Defender Commission in the amount of $80,106.
Good morning, Commissioners. Christy Clarizio, representing the Franklin County Public Defender's Office. This resolution is for the 2022 contract between the City of Columbus, Franklin County Board of Commissioners, and the Franklin County Public Defender Commission to provide legal services to indigent persons in Franklin County Municipal Court. The total estimated cost of services in the municipal program for this year is $6,575,858. It's estimated that 58% of these cases in Muni Court in 2022 will be state charge misdemeanors. This estimate is based on actuals from 2021. The cost to the county is estimated to be $3,813,998 before the state reimbursement. After the state reimbursement, the county obligation is estimated to be $414,279. 42% of the cases in Muni Court in 2022 will be city charges, a cost to the city in the amount of $2,761,860. It's estimated that after the 85% state reimbursement and the 2021 reconciliation in the amount of $414,000, the city obligation and amount of the contract today is $80,106. Pending any questions, I ask your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 742-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 74222 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. Next, we have.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Veteran Services.
Resolution number 74322. Resolution authorizing a partnership with Central Ohio Veterans Stand Down and the Franklin County Convention Facilities Authority in sponsoring the 2022 Annual Central Ohio Veterans Stand Down at the Greater Columbus Convention Center.
Good morning, Commissioners, Franklin County leaders, staff, and all attendees. Today's resolution builds on a long tradition of events called stand downs, in which the VA and other partners provide supportive services for our veterans. Stand downs offer a centralized support that helps veterans determine and achieve their personal goals. The first stand down is thought to have occurred in 1988 in California. Our own tradition, our event, has been going on since 1995. Franklin County has been a proud supporter of the stand down since its beginning. Our county has also continuously demonstrated a commitment to our resident veterans, their dependents, widows, and widowers. This is especially evident in the mission and actions of the Franklin County Veterans Service Commission. Our agency advocates for veterans and their families by providing guidance, resources, immediate financial assistance, and access to benefits in order to provide a path to sustained solutions. In practice, this means we provide services for our 65,000 Franklin County veterans for necessities of life in the form of housing, utilities, nutrition, car repair, dental care, and medical transportation, to name a few of our financial assistance programs. And we assist veterans prepare, file, and as necessary, appeal benefit claims to the VA. We estimate that 60% of our veterans that we work with are in the poverty cycle, many struggling with housing, health care, and nutritional needs. So you can see our work overlaps and complements many of the goals and efforts of the Central Ohio Stand Down. Here with me today to speak about the Stand Down is their Executive Director, Dan Willis.
Oops, thank you. How you like the title, isn't it? Good. Yeah. After 13 years of working, it's great to be in charge of it, but also a lot of work too. I want you to know that, number one, we very much appreciate the evolution that we've had with the Franklin County in providing this free service to our veterans of Franklin County and the surrounding counties. Our veterans come in, they pay for nothing through our donorships, through your support. From the time they come in to the time they leave, everything they get is free. Just to let you know, the last 2 years of COVID have hit us too, so we haven't had an event at the convention center, but what we have done is we've done duffel bags for both men and women veterans at Lutheran Social Services, HUD-VASH with the VA, National Church Residents, and Volunteers of American Veterans and Families First. We created men and women duffel bags to help with personal care items and things to help to keep a presence and let our veterans know that we still care. But this year, we're back on boards again at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. We're pleased to be there. We're pleased to have you. We hope that you might be able to come and say a few words.
I will be there.
You know, she didn't agree to the other part. Okay. In front, I'm sorry. That's what happens when you work with a volunteer, okay? All right. In front of you, you'll see a copy of the program that we pass out to everybody. We pass it out to our guests. We pass it out to the 150 providers. We pass it out to all of our volunteers. So everybody works out of the same handbook. In here, we list all the people that are providing services, their email, their phone number, their website. So this is a directory for our veterans once they get home, because we have so much information. And to make it easy for everybody, on the back of it is a simple map of where everything is on the floor. And this year, we're very pleased to have Coda a part of our program this year too. So it's a wonderful program. When you come, I invite all of the commissioners to come. You'll get an energy there, especially during our flag program, where we have 1,000 people saying the Pledge of Allegiance and singing our national anthem that you don't know, and you get a chill. But we provide a service, a heartfelt service every year to our veterans, and we appreciate your support so very, very much. Thank you. How's that? Questions?
No. Just thank you so much
Sorry.
for all that you do for our veterans. I mean, everybody knows that I'm a veteran. I come from a military family. My father and brother served in the Army. I served in the Navy. And, you know, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about veterans and the access to resources, and folks know where things are, but there's a lot of barriers. People don't know where all the services are, and then sometimes they can't afford them. So I appreciate this effort to make things simple and streamlined for our veterans and free services. So thank you so much for all that you do.
One quick thing, I talked to a friend at the Pentagon. I do have a friend at the Pentagon. And he was telling me that it takes a year plus to learn how to be a good soldier, but it only takes 2 weeks to learn how to be a civilian. There's something wrong there. And so that's where we come in to help fill in that gap so they don't get their mule in a ditch, as a friend of mine used to say. And that's our primary goal of providing these free services to any. We never turn down a veteran.
Good.
Even if they're from another county, they can come into our program. And when they walk through the door, I don't care, we don't care, our committee doesn't care how much money they have. They are a veteran of our country. And that's how they're treated.
Thank you.
Also with us today is a significant supporter of both the Stand Down and veterans in general. Andy Biesterveld is Central Ohio Transit Authority Chief Engineer. He's a veterans executive sponsor and a veteran himself, and he's going to share just a few words about Coda's commitment to veterans.
Good morning, Commissioners, Franklin County leaders and staff. Thanks for allowing me to speak on behalf of Coda this morning. Central Ohio Transit Authority serves all of Franklin County, and Coda has about 150 veteran employees. And this is significant because that represents about 10% of Coda's workforce compared to the national average of between 5 and 6% of the workforce being made up of veterans. So providing tens of thousands of rides on a daily basis and providing critical, accessible mobility to some of those most in need. We are acutely aware of the need and the challenges faced by some of our veterans in our community. So I'm pleased and honored this morning to be able to report Coda's Board of Trustees recently passed 2 resolutions relative to veterans fares. One is to allow all veterans to ride Coda at no cost on Veterans Day. That's something that we've done for a number of years. But the second one grants a permanent 50% discount to all veterans, regardless of age or ability. And vets only need to document their veteran status one time at Coda's facilities, and then that benefit is available to them for life via Coda's traditional discount key card or via some of our electronic fare media, the Transit app. The discount can be applied to their account on Transit app or on some of our account-based cards. So we look forward to promoting this discount at Stand Down, and Coda's proud to be a part of this event to get the word out on this benefit, also some of our other mobility services, to provide travel training, which is educational service to veterans at the Stand Down on how to access and utilize transit, and then also to share employment opportunities for veterans at the event. So thanks to Director Willis for including Coda, and special thanks to Executive Director Bramlish for his tireless efforts to connect Franklin County veterans to these benefits and services. And thank you again for the time.
Thank you. At some point in time, I know we're gonna have veterans ride for free all the time. I know we're gonna get there. I know we're gonna get there. But thank you so much, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Commissioners. So we ask, subject to any questions, your support for the resolution.
I just want to say, I'm sorry, were you about to say something, Commissioner Grady? Oh. I just want to say, every time I've sent a veteran constituent your way, you all have been amazing to help them, and 100% of the time. And so I just want to thank you for that. It really helps us as commissioners when those constituents come to one-stop shop. Hey, here's where you go, and then we get notes back all the time that they were very helpful. They're very supportive and whatnot. So thank you for what you do there.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're always great.
All right. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 743-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 743-22 has been adopted.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. And I'll see you at the event. Next up, we have Job and Family Services.
And Commissioner, we need a motion to remove this resolution from the table, please.
Oh, so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 731-22 has been removed from the table. Resolution number 731-22, resolution approving subaward agreements with multiple community agencies for Franklin County out-of-school time youth programming in the amount of $7,735,113.30.
Good morning, Commissioners. Vivian Turner, Chief Administrator for Franklin County Job and Family Services. This resolution covers agreements with 14 community organizations to provide quality, safe, and innovative programming for Franklin County youth ages 5 through 13. This is the second and final award year of the out-of-school time agreements under the request for proposals that was released last year. The after-school programs coincide with the 2022-23 academic school year and operate Monday through Friday for an average of 15 hours per week. Our summer learning programs will also operate Monday through Friday for a minimum of 6 hours per day for a period of 8 weeks, beginning in June and ending in August. Together, these providers will serve approximately 1,490 youth in after-school programming and 1,290 youth in summer learning programs. This resolution aligns with the Rise Together Blueprint Goal number 11. And Commissioners, there is an amendment to correct the name of one of the organizations listed as Always Together Charities, and the amendment is to change the name to Always With Us Charities. Mr. George Reese, Director of Always With Us Charities, is in attendance this morning, should you have any questions. And pending any questions or comments, we request your approval of the amendment to the resolution and the amended resolution.
Madam President, may I ask a question? Yeah, thank you. So I just want to make sure, because it's changed to Godman Guild Association on behalf of Always Together.
That is
Charities.
correct,
Okay,
Commissioner.
So Godman Guild
Guild.
is actually the,
Godman Guild on behalf of Always With Us Charities, yes.
and I see Mr. Reese here. I know he does great work in our community, so good to see you. I appreciate you taking care of the clarification for us.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you do?
You need to move to amend.
Oh, okay. Move to amend the resolution from Godman Guild Association on behalf of Always Together Charities to Godman Guild Association on behalf of Always With Us Charities.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 73122 has been amended.
And move for adoption. We ready? Okay. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 731-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Amended resolution 73122 has been adopted. Resolution number 74422, resolution approving a subaward agreement with the Educational Service Center of Central Ohio for the Partnership for Success Youth Practitioner Training Services in the amount of $305,000.
Commissioners, this second resolution is for the Partnership for Success Collaborative that supports after-school and summer camp youth providers to incorporate social-emotional learning and early warning indicator data to make strategic decisions for programs and support individual youth development. The training they offer is equity-driven and also incorporates trauma-informed practices to equip educators and youth service providers with the tools, skills, and understanding they need to make a positive impact in social emotional development as well as academic success. The Family and Children First Council will continue to manage the Partnership for Success to support youth serving professionals from more than 50 agencies throughout Franklin County, including 21 funded after-school and summer camp providers. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
In a second. Yeah. Look at it quick. So the detail's not in the, it's not in the thing either. So I just need to. I'm sure it's okay, but, I'm sure it's okay, but I didn't see. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 744-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 74422 has been adopted. Resolution number 74522, resolution approving a contract agreement with Dress for Success Columbus for workplace suiting services and programming in the amount of $95,000.
Commissioners, this last resolution, women are referred to Dress for Success, are able to access professional development training, soft skills workshops, one-on-one career counseling, interview training, and more through the Dress for Success Career Center. They are paired with a personal stylist who helps them select professional outfits, accessories, personal care products, and more at the suiting boutique, so that they can look and feel their very best for their upcoming interview. Once employed, Dress for Success participants can receive up to five more work outfits and can continue to participate in their monthly workshops covering topics such as financial literacy, professional development, to health and wellness. Under this new agreement, Dress for Success will provide professional attire, career development tools, and their network of support to an estimated 475 TANF eligible women. This resolution supports goal number 4 of the Rise Together Blueprint, and pending any questions, we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 745-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 745-22 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Have a great day. Next, we have Justice Policy and Programs.
Resolution number 746-22, resolution authorizing a professional service contract agreement with Nicole Hornbeck for community health worker services for residents served via Safer Station in the amount of $35,000.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Rochelle Pride, Director for the Office of Justice Policy and Programs. Ms. Hornbeck will provide community health work services for Safer Station clients, including frontline public health assistance to improve client quality of care, break down cultural barriers to medical and behavioral health treatment, reduce health disparities, and enhance health equity for Safer Station clients. Ms. Hornbeck will also assist residents with harm reduction education on naloxone and fentanyl test strips, screen individuals seeking substance use treatment, facilitate treatment placement, and assist in the development of recovery support plans and provide support through shared lived experiences. Ms. Hornbeck is a graduate of the Ohio State University College of Nursing Community Health Worker Certification Program, as well as Chemical Dependency Counselor Assistant. Pending any questions, we would seek your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 746-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 746-22 has been adopted.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you,
You
you
too.
too. Next up, Public Facilities Management.
Resolution number 738-22, resolution authorizing a modification to the contract agreement with DLZ Architecture Incorporated to provide professional design services associated with the planning, design, and construction of the Franklin County Correction Center at an increase in the amount of the contract not to exceed $794,730 in the amount of $26,019,130.
Good morning, Commissioners. Darla Reardon, Director, Public Facilities Management. This resolution authorizes a contract modification with DLZ Architecture, Inc., who is currently providing professional design services associated with the new Franklin County Correction Center. Approval of this contract modification reconciles additional professional design services required for completion of the Correction Center project, including continued on-site observation, construction administration, and participation in construction meetings by the design team. DLZ Architecture is a local MBE minority business enterprise. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution. Thank you.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 738-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Abstain.
Resolution number 738-22 has been adopted with Commissioner Boyce's noted abstention. Resolution number 747-22, resolution authorizing appropriation adjustments for general fund operations and the Permanent Improvement Fund.
Public Facilities Management is responsible for the facility needs of the various agencies and offices of Franklin County. This resolution authorizes supplemental general fund appropriations to support PFM's building maintenance operational needs, such as materials, services, and utilities for the remainder of 2022. This request also authorizes supplemental appropriations to the Permanent Improvement Fund to support 2 capital projects. Funding for the first project provides for equipment and materials to expand generator coverage to 100% redundancy at the Franklin County Dog Shelter and Adoption Center in the event of a power outage. The second project is associated with a new security directive from the Ohio Secretary of State's office that requires boards of election to undertake additional election security measures, and this funding will support expanded security cameras, access controls, and enhanced security measures for voting equipment. We appreciate OMB's guidance and assistance with this request. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution. Thank you.
So it's $1 million? No, wait a minute, what am I? How much is it? What's the amount?
How much?
Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. Commissioner Boyce, the total supplemental appropriation is from $1 million, 1.6 million rather. And of that, those go towards two projects, the two projects that Director Ridden outlined. Within the Fund 4041, Permanent Improvement Fund is $1,118,506.
So if you could, I'm sorry, I don't want to belabor this, I know we've got other things to cover, but what are they, so they're putting in, what kind of security features? That's a lot, I'm just trying to.
Camera enhancements and other improvements at the BOE facility. And the bulk of this project is also and additionally at the Franklin County Animal Shelter and Adoption Center. As you remember, during the power outage in June of this year, the redundancy did not roll to the HVAC unit. It only supports the heating unit. So I directed Public Facilities Management to take steps necessary to have 100% redundancy so that our air conditioning systems will be protected as well and be able to operate in the event of a power outage in the future.
That's so crucial, I'm glad that's in here. This still seems like a lot for that. I'm gonna support the resolution, but I actually would like to see the detail on the improvements, particularly the Board of Elections. I've got my thoughts about the Board of Elections needs and different things, and so there's a little bit of a surprise with the Board of Elections more so. I support it, but I want to be more familiar with what we're doing there.
Yeah, we would outline these. As Director Ridden pointed out, these are a response to a directive from the Ohio Secretary of State's office calling for additional security measures to be implemented by local boards of elections.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they responded to some of our needs for, that we've asked, in terms of voter education and voter outreach. We've been talking about for a long time, but I'm glad they found it in the need to mandate for us to do this part. That being said, I don't take it lightly. It's, these are the public funds, and certainly we have to adhere to the mandates of the state of Ohio. But quite frankly, well, anyways, if I could see the detail, I'm gonna support it. Especially got these two built in. The shelter was a serious issue, and I want to be mindful of that. And for those constituents who wrote our offices, I want to just make the connection that we were responding. We were not familiar with that. At least I wasn't familiar with the lack of the redundancy, and I was one of the people who asked the administrator to address that immediately. So I'm grateful for that being done. But I'm a little critical of the Board of Elections request here. Security is everything. Don't get me wrong, but we've not had what I would describe as a cooperative relationship with them in the big scheme of things. And here we are with another mandate, and so whatever.
Director Anton White is on the line if he wants to say anything, but I wholeheartedly agree with you, Commissioner Boyce. I always say that our state officials don't get a pass, right? So not only is there an unfunded mandate that now we have to fund, which is always a problem, but when it comes to people who go to the BOE to vote and doing voter education and outreach and awareness, not only did the state, just continue to be lackadaisical, they took steps in the budget last year to make sure that there was no funding that came down to the locals to be able to support letting people know that there is even an election coming up. And so I'm always eerie when it comes to unfunded mandates that we have to fund, but to your point about having more of a, I won't say adversarial relationship, but the things that our residents need every day, or education to participate in their civic engagement when it comes to voting, it's crickets. So with that, Antone, if you have anything that you would like to say. in regards to the mandate, please do so.
Well, good morning. Thank you. Commissioner Boyce, yeah, we were directed by the Ohio Secretary of State to undertake these additional physical security controls here at the Board of Elections. And so there are requirements that we must now meet in terms of electronically logging when we enter in and out of areas where we house voting equipment and electronic poll pads. Today, we do that under physical key, and now we have to do that under electronic control with access logs that can be tracked. And we have to implement new cameras that physically monitor IT systems and security systems. We have to implement certain locking cages and additional physical security requirements. And so because of the size of the building, the amount of equipment became numerous. So I think that's bears out in the cost of the project. And so, and we knew the directive was coming. We didn't know what the scope of the directive would be. And so here we are today, having to undertake these measurements.
Thank you, Mr. White. And I want to be clear, I wasn't directing that at you. There's a little bit of a history with Board of Elections prior to you getting there of some things that we've tried to really work on in a cooperative spirit. The security measures are just important and critical. So that's why I said I'd support this, but it's just frustrating to get such a strong mandate, such a costly mandate, when we've been asking for so many things to help ensure voter access and engagement, and just not getting any cooperation from them on that. So that just kind of voicing my frustration. The one thing I wanted to ask though, so was that work bid out? Was it to the lowest bidder? How was the security work awarded?
Commissioner, again, this resolution is for the supplemental appropriations to be able to then fund it. But the appropriations are based on at least an initial estimate, and based on the accelerated schedule and needing, I believe, and Director White can clarify the timing of this, but I believe before year end, there have to be approved drawings, et cetera, and a project submitted with work completed early next year. Again, understanding that a PO will come forward for approval in a future general session in the next few weeks. At least the initial proposal is from Johnson Controls JCI, which is, would allow for integration with the existing security at that facility.
So, go ahead.
And I guess I would say through a state term procurement vehicle to integrate with their existing infrastructure.
President Crowley, Commissioner Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady, that's what I wanted to add, that it would likely be state term schedule, because in the absence of state term schedule, bidding would apply.
That's
But usually on these projects, we're able to work with state term schedule. I also would like to note that as a county, we should be prepared for additional expenses related to the upcoming elections, particularly the upcoming presidential election. I'd just like to note on the 5th of this month, the Secretary of State announced the first ever Public Integrity Division within his office. And that office is going to be, I'm quite sure, focused upon additional election orders around investigations, cybersecurity, and other election integrity of matters.
Yeah, he hired, 2 employees to focus on election fraud, right?
Yeah.
2 full-time employees to, when there's been very little evidence of election fraud. But he's hired two full-time employees to focus on this area.
Yeah.
Can I ask Director White? Director White, can you give us an idea, a better idea and give the viewing public a better idea of what Director Reardon, can you give us a better idea of what this security, the security measures that are going to be covered by this contract?
I think Director White is jumping in because I know if I'll defer those to Director White, Commissioner, if you don't mind, only because I know specifically they've been working with the data center and can speak most comprehensively to the directive as it was provided to the county.
Yeah, Commissioner O'Grady, the security directive calls for enhanced physical security controls. And so
Can you
the
describe what that
monitoring,
means?
the increased monitoring of election equipment and the ability to monitor and record who's entering and exiting areas where election equipment is stored, and also being able to track when people are scanning in and out of those areas. So we currently house that equipment under DNR lock, Democrat and Republican lock. We do that under physical lock and key, but the security directive requires that it be done electronically, where you can have electronic monitoring of those systems and who's entering and exiting those areas. And so that's the enhancements that we're going to see in this upgraded security directive. And so I think the funding that's being requested goes to the integration of those access controls to replace some of the physical key locks with the access controls and the physical swipe systems that we can integrate and put into place so that we can meet those requirements. And then the additional cameras that we put in place would also meet those requirements that allow us to better monitor who's entering and exiting those rooms where we store equipment within the facility.
And Director Adam Frumkin is on the call too. I hate to put you on the spot, but I don't know if you want to add to what Director White said in response to Commissioner O'Grady's question.
Good morning. And no, I wouldn't add much more other than the fact that what we're dealing with is the directive from the Secretary of State is because we store all of our equipment in a larger room versus a separate locked environment that is can be used as a DNR or Democrat Republican key perspective. It has to have different protections around it. So the direction and what we've been given is what we've accomplished through what's been laid out for the dollar amount, and the cameras, the security, the key cards, all that lays out to match up with the directive given the space that we have at the Board of Elections. Each Board of Election county-wide or statewide, each county are meeting the directives in different ways based on how they store their voting machines and their poll pads and so forth. So what we're doing is meeting the best possible way to utilize it based on the building that we have and the equipment we have, given the size that we are as the largest county.
And to piggyback off of that, what Adam is saying is, so we utilize our spaces in different ways. So and so we use our rooms in different ways. And so pre-election and post-election. So when we have early vote coming up starting tomorrow, we were utilizing our front early vote room, our early vote center room, and additional spaces around that room. And we lock those rooms down. We have election equipment in that room, we have poll pads in that room. And so where we typically wouldn't have election equipment and poll pads in that room when we're not doing an early vote. So when we're doing an early vote, in order to meet the requirements of that directive, we're gonna have to put additional cameras in that space. We're gonna have to put additional access controls in that space that didn't exist before. But in order for us to meet the requirements of the directive, we're gonna have to put those types of controls in that space. And so we utilize the different areas of the Board of Elections in different ways, depending upon the timing of the election, post-election, pre-election, the type of activity we're undertaking. And so that requires us to, sort of build out and have different cameras in different areas in order for us to meet this requirement. And I think that's what Adam was pointing out in his comments.
Correct. That's correct.
Director White, Director Frumpkin, Director Reardon, thank you for your information. What I'm intending to point out here is these are the same, folks they're insisting that we spend all of this money under the guise of election security, when in reality what they're referring to in their minds and in the words that they use is election fraud that doesn't exist, and they've admitted it doesn't exist. But they're making us spend this money on election security that they call election fraud. But these are the same folks who, over the last few years, and including this year, refused to work with us to advertise the election, to advertise early vote. And these are people who for years, for a dozen years, worked with us to advertise the election, to make sure that residents of Franklin County knew when the election was, knew when early vote started, especially now when the legislature has made early voting more confusing than ever, has taken away early vote times, in unprecedented, times, and people don't know. My own children, who are much more educated on voting than most people, don't know when early vote starts, don't know when voter registration, when they need to be registered to vote or not. My own kids, who know and understand this better than most. These members of the Franklin County Board of Elections, the Secretary of State, won't work with us to advertise the election, to spend the same dollars that we would spend, that they're making us spend to do this, or insisting that we spend to secure the election, to secure votes, that they admit there's very little or almost no voter fraud. But that's red meat for their base. Right before the election, I mean, this just drives me insane. And I get that this is stuff that we're compelled to vote for, but I don't want to vote for this. Just like I didn't want to vote, for the Board of Elections, stuff a few years ago when we went through all this stuff. This drives me crazy because they call it one thing when they know it's not. It just drives me nuts that they get away with doing this when it is not what they purport it to be. And it drives me crazy. So, sorry.
No, Madam President, Commissioner O'Grady, well said. I mean, that's why I was piping up too. I mean, it's really just absurd. It is. I don't want to get on the whole pedestal here. I feel like we've said everything that needs to be said, and we are compelled to vote for the resolution and put the money there. And again, Anton, it's not directed at you, but this
is certainly not.
It's more of a historic conversation that we've been having, and I think Commissioner O'Grady outlaid why it's so important that we're promoting when the election is. Mm-hmm. And it's, we're battling back and forth with them about that. And here we are, so they don't want to do any of that, but here we are, been forced to take these measures, $1.6 million or whatever, appropriates to the Board of Elections part. And I'll just conclude by saying I want to see that contract. And, as these kind of things come forward, whether it's a mandate or not, I think they deserve a little more scrutiny because, I don't feel like, and I don't want to put words in Commissioner O'Grady's mouth, but I don't feel like there's an authentic effort here. And so I feel like we need to do our diligence on top of our diligence when it comes to these requests, because I'm just not sure what's really happening here. So again, Mr. White, it's not at you. I think you're managing this best you can and doing a good job, but this is I'm frustrated with you. Mm-hmm. This is more than ridiculous.
They want to scream about voter fraud, but they don't want to admit to voter suppression, and that just drives me insane. So I apologize.
Don't apologize. I mean, it's real. I think that's what we're here to do. We can go back and, we have to compel to approve it, as Commissioner Boyce said, but folks don't get a pass. They don't get a pass, and it's important for the public to know, and I feel like there's a lack of awareness on the amount of voter suppression that happens when you have the administration and legislature take steps to make sure that taxpayers and voters don't know when the election is. Like, that is absurd. And I'm always against unfunded mandates. You know, these are taxpayer dollars at work, but if they have mandates, they could fund it. They have more than enough money. We got almost $3 billion in a rainy day fund, plus some other stuff. So it's unfortunate that when mandates come down, we have to spend taxpayer dollars. But I need voters to be aware of who's working for them.
Talk out of one side of your mouth. I hope somebody from the dispatch is on this morning.
Probably not. Okay,
Sorry.
if there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 747-22. Again, I would ask that that contract be circulated so that
Please.
the Board of Commissioners can take a closer look at that. We won't hold it up, but we need to make sure that we're doing our full due diligence on the details of that contract, even though it is a state UTC. So I move for 747-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 74722 is adopted.
Thank you all. Next, we have purchasing.
Thank you.
Resolution number 74822, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $2,192,339.95.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Valinier, Director of Purchasing, and joining me is D'Amico Withers, Chief Economic Equity and Inclusion Officer in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Commissioners, this resolution requests your approval of 92 purchase orders for which the county auditor has pre-certified available funding. D'Amico will provide the supplier diversity data for this week. Good morning, D'Amico.
Good morning, Megan. Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. 11 of the purchase orders being presented today for award include 11 women business enterprises totaling $88,577.79. The following agencies have increased their supplier diversity this week: Domestic Relations and Juvenile Court, Emergency Management, Engineer, Prosecuting Attorney, and Sheriff. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 748-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 74822 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Madam
You
Clerk?
too.
Thank you. Do we have any journalizations for today?
Yes, we do. We have one. The following amendment to the contract correcting the name of the company due to scrivener error in resolution number 45222 is hereby journalized to reflect Trans Systems Corporation of Ohio instead of Trans Systems Incorporated.
Thank you. Are there any members of the media here in the audience or online that has any questions? Hearing and seeing none with no further business to come before the board, we are adjourned. Have a wonderful Tuesday, everyone.